Hey guys, welcome to Driveway Liberty Podcast, the only podcast live stream from a driveway, man. Hey, I am your Uncle Wes, and I am sitting here with my good friends Travis and Dan, and we've got an awful lot to talk about tonight. In the meantime, let's introduce these fellas. Dan Matichero, what's up over there, brother?
What's happening, guys? I created another group of stories about Dan based on my overachieving Saturday night.
Yeah.
I had one of those, hey, I got a teenage son and I want to kill somebody moments Saturday afternoon.
Right.
So I told Elena, I'm like, I'm ready to start drinking now. And she goes, well, you should probably start at home so we don't pile up the bill at the restaurant. And so I did.
That was a good call.
And by the time I brought my roadie into the restaurant, nobody said a word.
No, they didn't say shit to you.
And I had two roadies that were probably equal to 5 drinks. And by the time Travis, your wife's birthday dinner was over, I was in good shape. Because I think I had another 4 bullets there.
Yeah, Dan was feeling good. And then we went to see like a Motley Crue tribute band, cover band type deal.
And that was awesome. Because I love Motley Crue.
It was awesome. Dan kept elbowing a midget in the head.
Dude, I was up front.
I was a little worried, so I finished one beer, and instead of just tossing the trash can, I just slid it in my back pocket and said, well, you know, in case I need it.
Man, I'm a happy drunk. I diffuse things very quickly if there's ever any. There was never any hint of an issue that night, at least from my view.
From your view, yeah.
But if he got irritated with me, my high five, I think, fixed it.
Yeah. Always.
And then we were cranking out the songs. So
well, I've been off work all week. I needed a break.
Nice.
And yesterday, I didn't get on Twitter at all yesterday. Very little yesterday till like last night for about 20 minutes.
Right.
And then didn't get on it much today until like 1. And just went and worked on my boat for like 5-6 hours yesterday. Just forgot what was going on in the world, and man, it felt good.
Put some music on and
yeah.
Did
you get it running? By the way, this is Travis Horn over here.
Yeah. Oh no!
In case you don't know by the name of it.
Yeah, I was burning out some old gas and put in a new stereo, just cleaning her up, fixing a few things, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, I wasn't in like a big rush or anything. I sat out there and drank a couple beers.
Right.
Just like I don't know that I want to go back to the real world with what's going on. So.
No, man, I tell you what, every time I turn on the news, I kind of gotten where I think we all go through these periods where we're black-pilled, and I've gotten where I just want to turn it off. I want to grab a tent and some firearms and just disappear in the woods.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And just sit there and hold my ground, man.
I said that
I tell you, it's absolutely disheartening, some of the stuff we're seeing. Which brings us to our thing tonight, man. We were going to talk a little bit about why Republicans are losing, and what I would like to do before we even talk about anything is present Exhibit A, and that would be the Nikki Fried video. Travis, let me know when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Here we go. So one thing I want to point out, all right, yes, it's funny, Nikki Fried, and what's the other dude's name that got arrested?
Lauren Book. She's the Senate Minority Leader.
Yeah, and they're protesting what, abortion?
Yes, because this Florida Senate on Monday
passed the heartbeat bill.
Well, yeah, basically heartbeat bill.
Yeah.
But and it goes to the House, so that was they were protesting in Tallahassee.
Right. They're in Tallahassee, but and we sit back and we laugh. I think it's funny Nikki Fried got arrested, but number one reason Republicans are losing is because Democrats are committed to their cause. And that's part and parcel. That's an example of what they're willing to do to get their point across. Whether you believe in it or not, what's happened here, it's a psyops. They're there. Yeah, she got arrested, maybe got misdemeanor, disturbing the peace or whatever. And she I mean, they're out there, and because she is head of the Florida Democrat Party, the news is obviously going to be there.
Well, that's two of the highest ranking, or excuse me, the two highest ranking Democrats in the state of Florida.
Right.
At a protest getting arrested in the city of Tallahassee by a Democrat mayor.
Right.
That's how much they believe in their cause. And we, before we get too much into Trump or Wisconsin or anything, I last night on Twitter, and I text you guys, and I was probably a little bit over the top about it, but I was really fired up. Okay.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court. We'll talk about that. So I went, and as I was going through my Twitter timeline, I'm like, okay, well here's, and what hit me was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she basically was writing, like a book in the gospel about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I went, and I had just gotten word. I think my friend had sent me that they were calling Wisconsin the Supreme Court race, and I said, you know what, that sucks. Surely some of our prominent Republicans, right-wingers, MAGA folks have been on Twitter promoting this.
No.
So I went to start with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yep.
Not one mention of Wisconsin Supreme Court. Matt Gaetz, Jack Posobiec. I sent you guys the list. I mean, and I could have kept going because there was ones I didn't send you because I said, they're probably getting tired of it.
Yeah.
But the most important thing that happened yesterday was losing that Wisconsin Supreme Court battle.
Yeah, absolutely, because that sets them up to be able to gerrymander the state in their favor. That sets them up to repeal the abortion law that went into place once the Dawes decision came out. It gives it. I mean, the thing is that they control the executive branch in that state. They also control the courts in that state, and that's problematic, man. And we've sat back, and you know what? I got an email, and I've got a buddy who doesn't like Cash Patel, and he doesn't like Mike Lindell because he feels like they're grifters and they're doing it in the name of Trump. But guess what? I got an email from a billionaire the other day asking me for a donation to his legal fund.
Yeah.
And that sumbitch collected $8 million over the weekend, and this the Supreme Court justice was $2 million to the 8.8
yeah.
of the opponent.
Well, the ad spend was 7 to 1. Okay, and here's a quick exercise. All right, if you want to, you can pause. If you're watching live, you can't pause. Whatever. I want you to go to 270towin.com. The number 270towin.com.
Right.
And I want you to show me a realistic path for a Republican to the presidency without Wisconsin. That yesterday was quite possibly the most important thing that's happened between 2020 and 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And 8, 9, 10 of the biggest Republican, MAGA, whatever, influencers.
And she ran on rewriting the congressional districts
Yep.
to benefit the liberals. And she also, not she, but it also opens the door to the left winning Supreme Court battles over election laws.
Yes.
Right.
So ballot harvesting, etc. Everything that happened during COVID that we all knew was illegal in most states, like Pennsylvania, we knew you can't do this without the legislation approving it. Well, now you have a 4-3 majority for the left in a purple swing state that usually is one of the 6 states that decides elections every cycle.
Yep.
And you have correct me if I'm wrong, you have a Democrat governor now, right? And
Yeah.
Democrat
so,
governor.
yeah.
Yep.
But you have I think you have a partial supermajority in their legislative branch, or at least you have a Republican majority. So you had checks and balances in place,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had a 4-3 majority in conservative in the Supreme Court. That's gone.
Yep.
So now they can do whatever they want, and if it gets challenged, we all know that the left, when they're in the courts, they do not care about
They're
the Constitution.
activists, yes.
They're activists. They are going to approve whatever's going to help their cause.
Well, and that brings us to our second reason that Republicans are actually losing, and that's because they're committed. They have a united front for their cause, and Republicans, we're sitting here chasing dollars, which we should be. That's how we're productive members of society.
Well, we're splintered all over the place. There's like 4 Republican factions. I mean,
yeah, we are splintered, and they are keeping us bobbing and weaving, smoking us and mirroring us, and they're keeping us off our game with all of this other bullshit that's going into this.
So here's a tweet, and I sent it to you guys earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. And this is from a guy named George Beheasy Tweets. This is handle. Okay. Here's how messed up the Wisconsin Supreme Court race actually was. A group called Wisconsin Takes Action offered $250 to voters to sway their friends to vote for Democrat Janet Proto something through an app called Empower. Wisconsin Takes Action set up Empower to attract residents to the polls, vote for Janet, whatever, for Supreme Court judge, and reward them with gift cards for taking action. Downloading the app pays voters $30. Providing 75 names with phone numbers or emails in the app pays $60. Each time users reach out to their friends to early vote, make a plan to vote, or make contact on election day, they will get paid in gift cards on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
So they're basically buying votes indirectly.
Yes,
what they're doing.
And here's the follow-up tweet of that. This is 100% against Wisconsin law.
Sure.
Well, it doesn't matter now because they own the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, well, the old, we haven't talked about it in a while, but the old, hey, don't quote laws to men with swords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, we box ourselves in and say, oh, well, this is blah, 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 whatever, fill in the blank of, this is unconstitutional or un-American or whoa. And yet we just keep losing. We just continue to lose, and we keep going back and waving this piece of paper. That's a great political piece of paper, but it's pretty much worthless in my day-to-day life, except in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, it's not applicable pretty much anywhere other than the state of Florida and maybe parts of Alabama.
I mean, there's a few states where it is, but that is 100% against the law.
Yeah.
Okay? That is buying votes. How did this guy, the morning after, find this out? Did we know about it beforehand? Was there any lawsuits filed? Where was the GOP? Because I'll tell you this, and I will believe this to my grave, until maybe Nancy Pelosi herself tell me differently. I 100% believe the Trump indictment was dropped exactly when it was, on purpose.
Absolutely.
To distract from the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
That and
no
the
doubt.
mayoral race in Chicago was another one that
And you know what?
sideways.
Everybody on our side took the bait. Everybody.
Well, yeah, because it was a juicy.
Because if you go
piece of
through
bait.
whatever list of podcasts I listen to, and you look at the titles, it's
Trump this,
Trump
that.
indictment. It's
Trump
this.
that.
It's this. This is the end of America. Oh my God! They're Trump's being persecuted during Holy Week. Here's the similarities. What?
Yep.
Like Scott Pressler, one gay dude with a ponytail, can't be the only person on the ground trying to win for Republicans.
We hear all the time that Trump's playing 4D chess. They're playing 4D chess.
He's getting outplayed right
See,
now. And I
Well,
mean,
it's not
not
Trump.
just him; it's all of us.
The left is outplaying conservatives.
The name of the game is get power, use that power to give yourself more power.
Right.
That's where we're at currently. You can dislike that. I don't care.
That's just the world we live in.
That's the world we live in.
Inclusion, or the heartbeat, or it was the open carry, permanent list carry. We can't call it constitutional carry because it's not that.
Well, they're calling it that.
And some woman, some liberal, blue-haired, and I don't mean blue-haired as in old lady, I mean blue-haired as in woke-ass liberal, from South Carolina is on there making comments. Now, that person is just not, it's not somebody sitting in their living room taking some form of interest in what's going on in Florida to go on and argue. There is a concerted effort, an organized effort, where liberals sitting at home on welfare or whatever the fuck they're doing at the house are being monetized or paid or encouraged or given talking
It's-
points
it's-
on what they should be doing, and you see that on every
it's a grassroots
conservative.
Media Matters.
Yeah.
So it's like Media Matters everywhere. Our studio audience.
So,
But you see that on every conservative post on social media.
Well, they did for Matt Gaetz, yeah.
Matt Gaetz. You see that on DeSantis. You see it on Trump. You see it on.
look, it's well
all of them.
documented that there are Democrat super PACs that are paying people to go on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, but the thing is we sit back and we see that, and it just makes us mad. But the thing is, there are people not as informed. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, the ladybug hit you. in the forehead.
Not as well informed as most active conservatives, and they see that and they start, you know what, that might be a point. They just put just enough misinformation out there, and I hate that word, but they put just enough doubt in the neutral, the central people, the people who are independents in the center, that they start questioning things.
The arguments they make are emotional,
Yeah.
and that emotional argument sounds plausible in the wake of what's happening. Whether it's a school shooting, and they start with their common sense gun law stuff, it's all based on emotion.
Right.
There's no facts behind it, because we all know the facts are no legislation ever put in place or proposed would have stopped any of the school shootings. Period.
Right.
Period. But that's not their argument. Their argument is emotional, to where they tug at the heartstrings of people and people react to that. That's how it works.
And my problem is we are completely unserious on our side. We're completely unserious, and look, I equate it to this, right? We laughed a couple months ago, but when I had that blood pressure issue, I mean, it was high. It was real high.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was probably a spider bite, lots of other stuff. But I also looked in the mirror and said, wow, you know what? You weigh more than you've ever weighed. You're probably smoking more than you've ever smoked. Maybe you drink too much, all that. And so now, what could I have done? Could I have just taken some blood pressure medicine and hopes and prayed that the blood pressure medicine saves me? Yeah, I could have. Or you can say, you know what? Got that row machine in the garage. Maybe I need to go get on the damn thing.
Right.
Hey, maybe instead of a double cheeseburger with cheesy tater tots and 8 beers, maybe I should have something a little bit better. And you keep, and it's step by step.
You make
right?
little changes over time.
And we refuse to do that, because we go straight to, hey, I need Cheeto Jesus to die on the cross for my sins to save this country. And I get told I got to vote for Mitt Romney. Like, no, that's not how we save this country. We save this country by actually getting involved and going and taking over school boards and county commissions and taking over these places that we hate and we don't want to go. All right? We have a Manhattan DA, okay, inconsequential in the grand scheme of this entire country.
Yep.
Just arrested a former president. And you know what he did? He just stood there and said, the fuck you going to do about it? And you know what we did?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We didn't do shit about it.
Well, we flew from Florida, where we had protection, to go turn ourselves in, then didn't even get a mugshot so we could sell T-shirts with fake mugshots. That's
Right.
how serious we are about saving this country. It's ridiculous.
Well, you're absolutely right. It was it you that made the point in our group chat yesterday that really it's kind of stupid to fly up there and protest in a county, in an area where you are the extreme minority.
But look what they did when people who were Trump supporters went there. They shouted them down. They beat them up. They blew whistles so you couldn't even hear what they were saying.
Yeah, they tried to goad them into another January 6th.
Yeah.
That's exactly what was happening. And I saw Vishbura and Gavin Wax posting about, 2 massive protests with no issues. And I'm like, that's great for now. If you get infiltrated, and if Ray Epps tries to join the New York Young Republicans, I really hope you guys got a good screening process.
Right.
So, we're unserious. We're unserious. All I get told all the time is like, oh, we got to do this to save America. There's no one answer. The answer is, hey, every night, like when I get home from the podcast tonight, I'm going to put on my tennis shoes, I'm going to strap the big dog up, and we're going to go walk 2 miles.
Right.
And then in the morning, I'm going to eat healthier for breakfast. All right, and I'm going to keep doing that until I get in a place where my blood pressure is better, I've lost some weight, I've got just better health overall.
Right.
As opposed to just saying, well, here's this magic bullet, let's hope it works.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at on our side, and it's ridiculous. And I'm so
Well,
tired of losing.
A lot of us are sitting around and waiting on somebody else. Trump's the savior. Trump or Matt Gaetz is going to do
Well,
something.
it's going to
Marjorie
be
Taylor Greene.
DeSantis,
Or even
savior.
DeSantis.
Or even
whoever.
DeSantis, yeah. There, what the thing is that we actually have a T-shirt design that's going to be coming out by Friday, and it's "Be Your Own Hero," because that's who's going to make a difference. You, at home, us as individuals, getting out and being willing to take that misdemeanor, disturbing the peace call for protesting something like Nikki Fried did.
Here's the. I heard a story on a podcast, and I can't remember, but it was a former Afghan vet,
Right.
And he was talking about they were in Afghanistan, and he was talking to a Taliban member,
Right.
and the Taliban member told him, "I don't care what you do to me, because my great 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 grandchildren will still be fighting for this land. Your great 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 grandchildren will have left this land. You cannot win. We're on a 1,000-year timeline. You're trying to get this done in a decade."
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing. We're trying to get this done in one election,
Yeah.
as opposed to looking at. Let's talk about. We talked a little bit in our audio cast last week about Florida, right? Florida in 2000, probably one of the worst election states in the country.
Right.
And since then, we've put in all these things to make our elections safer. Is it a coincidence that Florida's gotten redder and redder since 2000? I don't know. Maybe
No.
it is. But we didn't just stop. We kept going. And I think in 21 they passed some legislations to make our elections safer.
And there's
And we
a
kept going.
bill in the legislature right now for its election integrity bill. Let me see. I'll tell you what the bill number is. real
Well, and
quick.
while you're looking that up, the Florida GOP had a 20-year plan, and you end up getting a 19.4% win.
It has not been assigned a number yet, but it's to be determined, the election integrity bill.
Right.
And I'm hoping that's going to knock out Dominion voting.
And so the
machines in the
Florida
state of
GOP has had a 20-year plan,
Right.
and there's not a single statewide elected Democrat. Every county in the state in 2022 went redder than it did in 2020.
Well, and
The Republicans won Miami-Dade.
And in one to DeSantis'
That's
credit,
insane.
to DeSantis' credit, we talk about not being able to build Rome in a day, or the political will and memory of folks in the Middle East. DeSantis doesn't talk about it. He goes and does it.
Yeah.
You know what? I was on a Zoom call with him, was it 3-4 weeks ago, where he was talking about the diversity inclusion, and he brought educators in from Florida Atlantic and University of Florida and all of this, and they talked about what was going on in these colleges and what this diversity inclusion bullshit was doing to the students and what was being taught. 2 weeks later, there's a bill that's passed.
Yeah.
It's there. It's done.
Yeah, and that bill was probably passed before he had the Zoom call.
Oh yeah, absolutely it was.
And so, like, it's on us, right? We are looking in the mirror, just like myself, as Republicans or right, whatever. And hey, you're really unhealthy at this point, okay?
Right.
And there's not a magic pill like all the magic weight loss pills that they used to sell on the infomercials
They're
overnight.
still selling them.
They're
People
still
are still falling for it.
Okay, but you know what the best thing is the hardest part is just putting your tennis shoes on the first night and saying, you know what, I'm going for a walk.
There you go.
Hey, you know what, I'm not going to eat the double cheeseburger with cheesy tots. I'm going to have just a cheeseburger and maybe a side of broccoli with it.
And one more thing before beer reviews. Republicans need to decide whether they're going to actually follow the Republican platform, which is smaller government, less government spending, lower taxes, or they're going to ask for amenities. They're going to ask government.
That's not the national Republican platform anymore.
Well, it's still on the website.
Well, that's
At
what
least
they
it
tell
was
you, but that's not
3.5,
what they do
4
when they
weeks
have
ago.
power.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even locally, we get into that, and I'm not going to get into local issues, but, I got in a debate today with somebody about a local situation. Well, no, we need that. Well, let's pull our money and build that shit instead of asking the county who tried to tax us.
No, I agree. But I think there's a smart way to do it. And where we're at right now is finding ways to utilize the a gargantuan-sized government at every level to reward our friends and punish our enemies. And when I say that, I mean reward the people who fight for liberty and freedom,
Right.
and punish the people who don't. And I don't care what letter they have behind their name. All right, that's the name of the game now. And I want smaller government. I want government out of our lives in a lot of different ways. However, as it stands right now, that's a big baseball bat just sitting in the corner. And I want to wield that against my enemies.
But here's the problem. One of the problems is our RNC chair is out there blaming these losses on our
Are we gonna get into that?
pro-life message.
We're gonna get into that before beer reviews.
Oh, we had a video for that, sorry.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
That's all right.
Go ahead, play it.
All right, you ready?
Hold on.
Let me know.
I thought it was
Oh,
good, so-
shit. Yep, I'm ready.
All right, good.
And go.
But I will say something else. When you're losing by 10 points, there is a messaging issue, and abortion is still an issue. And we can't allow the Democrats to define Republicans and put millions of dollars up in lies and have it go unanswered, because the lies become the truth if they go unanswered. We have to put the Democrats on the defense on this issue, talk about the fact that they support gender selection abortions and due date abortions. It was an issue in 2022. The RNC raised the flag. I'm a suburban woman. I know this is an issue. I hear it with my friends, with my young daughter. This is not an issue that's going away for our party in a post-Dobbs world, and we can't put our head in the sand and think it's going to heading into 2024.
So what kind of message is that? Like, you're the head of your party is blaming us overturning Roe as the reason why we're losing elections.
See, I didn't take the way what she said that way, but maybe I
did.
missed something.
Yeah, no, that's what she meant. Well, what she is saying is the Democrats are saying, they're running ads saying this person wants to completely outlaw abortion. So what she's trying to say is for suburban white women that we've got to run on safe, legal, and rare, which was what Clinton and the Democrats did in the 80s and 90s.
All right.
If her solution is changing our version of the messaging on abortion, which I think is what she was trying to spin it into,
Yeah.
she's still blaming our losses on this issue. There's a whole lot more.
Well, when I first watched it, that's exactly the way I took it. It towards the end of that sounded like we need to codify our message and double down on it, which is exactly what we need to do.
Absolutely.
You know what? If you're against abortion, by God, say you're against abortion.
Well, if she didn't say that at the end, I would have thought that we
but-
want to undo the abortion
But
change.
the overall thing here is exactly what I was talking about. They have shouted us down. They've planted these seeds of doubt. What about rape and incest, which is like 0.003% of abortions?
But see, here's the problem that Ronna Romney, I'm going to refuse to use her last name.
Yeah.
Ronna Romney, who's in charge of the party. Why do we have Dobbs? Well, why was a Dobbs decision? Why did it make it to the Supreme Court? Because it was the first time we actually fought that battle, that abortion battle, on the merits of the argument.
Right.
Not some feeling, not some religious. Nope.
And there was action behind it.
And there was action behind it. Okay.
Instead of just fundraising.
Right.
And I think that's what she's most disappointed about is when Roe was overturned. Man, their key fundraising point was gone.
Well, you know what, boys?
Yeah, but
It is time for.
It is time for beer reviews. Beer reviews. Beer reviews.
All right, man, I messed that up on the audio. You guys at home watching live, you didn't hear all that. So, hey, it is time for beer reviews. Travis, what you got over there, brother? Looks like you got something a little exotic, a little fun.
I've got the Kona Golden Longboard thingy I had last week. The Kona Brewing Company Big Wave Golden Ale. It's a liquid Aloha.
Nice.
So I hadn't bought any more.
Well, what you got, Daniel?
Well, because I broke the bank on Saturday buying the very expensive drinks at the restaurant along with my wife, I had to stick to what was in the fridge, and that is Yingling.
There you go. Well, I had actually bought a beer that I was going to review tonight.
Bud Light?
No. But
look,
what I did, it was an IPA that I bought, and then I got to thinking, I'm like, who owns this company now? And I looked it up. Anheuser-Busch on the company. So I threw that sumbitch in the trash. I ain't doing it. But you know what? I'm drinking Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Fine Canadian-owned beer now. But we also have a special guest beer review tonight. It's the last video. So,
could have told me how you were going to set that
hey,
up.
That was a subversive
All right,
setup.
ready?
we don't plan this.
ready.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
That's right. That's a very special beer review tonight.
Yeah, very special. It was nice of Kid Rock to join us on the podcast.
There you go.
So it was good of him to do that. So
It was not just a random tweet we found. He sent that just specifically to us.
right, yes, exactly. So it's funny that we went from real man of genius to I'm not sure if I'm a man, but I'm gonna drink this beer. That's basically where we're at.
There's so many things going on, and part of my frustration is that there are the Trump indictment thing immediately just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Look, it's completely un-American. It's wrong. It's dumb.
Right.
It's political persecution. Okay, you should be able to see right through that. But it should be a look into not only where we're at as a society, because you can go on TikTok or whatever, the response to that stupid video of Bud Light and see where our society is, but it just tells you where our culture is. Because like 60% of independents that were polled said, man, he probably should pay for this. Like, okay, yeah, it's a political persecution. And we're so lost, and yet we get so focused on this one thing. And it's terrible, and it's awful, and it should not happen, and it definitely shouldn't happen in this country, and you should be upset. But I don't even put that in the top 5 of the shit that's going on in this country right now.
No. It's a distraction, is what it is. Look, if Budweiser wants to pay a tranny to drink their beer and endorse it in the bathtub.
Can I tell you what? Besides the Wisconsin Supreme Court, what the other probably most important thing going on right now is France just did an oil deal or a trade with China,
right,
for products, and France paid them in the yuan. Not in American dollars.
And Saudi Arabia made a deal with China and Iran and said that they didn't need to use the petrodollar anymore.
Yes.
Yep.
So that means pain's coming.
It's going to hurt.
And I'm very upset that we're to the arresting our political opponents part. However, I want to be sure we don't get to the hundreds of millions of Americans starving part.
Right. My dog is looking delicious right now.
Yes.
Part, like Venezuela.
Okay. And so we get focused on these things, and yet we miss these much bigger picture things that we could take action on and that we could go do. Right. And the left's been doing this, the 100-year march through the institutions. It's complete.
Sure.
And now we're trying to go run an ultra marathon, and you look in the mirror and you weigh 300 pounds and you just finished a double cheeseburger. Well, guess what? You're not ready. You're just not. We got to take the baby steps. We got to start working. We got to start doing these things so that we can get ready to go fight this stuff. And if the left was scared at all of Donald Trump, of anybody's response, you know what would have happened? Not a damn thing. There wouldn't have been an indictment. There wouldn't have been an investigation. But you know what? You know what we are? We are the kid on the playground that draws a line in the sand. Oh, you better not cross this line. And then they cross the line. Okay, well, that wasn't the real line. This is the real line. Okay, well, they crossed that line. Okay, well, I know I said that was the real line.
Things have changed. Here's the new line.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, I didn't mean that. That was more of a parabellum. Here's the line, okay? And we keep doing this, and we don't ever fight back.
Right.
And that's just what we keep doing, and it's our fault. Like, the reason Donald Trump got indicted is our fault. Because nobody fears us. Because you know why? We just sell T-shirts with fake mugshots.
Sure. We've got to stop being scared of looking like the bad guy and be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Well, we have to fight the fight with the same rules as our opponent is fighting.
Yeah.
We're bringing a freaking water pistol to a freaking gunfight. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Rocky 4, who was the good guy?
Rocky.
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 Yeah. I mean, right? And Ivan
I
Drago
thought
was the bad guy.
I thought it was a trick question.
Rocky was more violent than Ivan Drago in that movie, and he was the hero.
Yeah.
Because he's fighting for the right cause.
Thank you.
Yep.
But we got T-shirts with fake mugshots.
Yeah, and $8 million legal fund for a billionaire.
Look, well, I got hit with one of the, President Trump needs your signature and all this stuff. And I just wrote back, it's automated, nobody's monitoring. And I said, why did he turn himself in when Ron DeSantis offered him protection?
Right? After he's called him like 15 different names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty unprecedented for a governor to say we're not going to extradite to another state. Right? That's written in the Constitution. Now, I understand Manhattan's not the state of New York. The state of New York can step in very easily.
Sure.
Okay? So you got offered protection. And you decided to turn yourself in, which makes me think it's a
Well, you
fundraiser.
validated
It's a
the
fundraising
situation.
ploy.
Well, he not only validated it, but what he did was he
went along with the
he's
political
using
persecution.
it. He's using it.
Well, he thinks it's going to help him, and it may in the short term. But
I can't tell you how many tweets and or Facebook posts that I saw. Well, I'm definitely MAGA now.
I don't know. I haven't seen that many.
Now look, I'm the first to say it is a complete and utter bullshit that he got arrested.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
But-
it doesn't take away the horrible thing that happened, but him turning himself in. I have a problem with him turning himself in.
If you're the fighter,
if you believe, and you're the fighter that we're looking for, and you believe that this is unjust and it's political persecution, tell him to fuck off and come get me.
yes. To quote
You
Dan
got a
Bongino,
governor.
give him the family
You got a
friendly double
governor
nip
that
Well,
bar.
said
it's just
he
like-
isn't going to play the game.
We've got a local situation where, and it's not something that's going to get Travis in trouble, where a guy was excused from a volunteer situation, and he's like just caved in. He went and picked his shit up and went to the house. I'm like, if you are right,
Fight.
if this is an unjust removal, fight.
So, again, all of that happened was wrong. To me, it's a reflection on who we are.
They didn't fear doing it.
They fear nothing.
So
They-
what needs to happen? I'm waiting for a red small time prosecutor to start doing the same shit.
With Obama,
It ain't gonna happen.
because of the shit that Leonardo DiCaprio came out.
There's
and
so
said
many
that.
freaking
Did you
situations.
see
that
Leonardo
you can do it with.
DiCaprio's
Yeah.
testimony today?
Oh yeah, it said $30 million of something.
I mean, this financier from I forget where he's from,
China.
said he was going to funnel that money to Obama's campaign.
So it just, I've seen this a lot the last few days, and that's it. There's no going back now. All that. I'm like, wait. Last week, a transgender person walked into a Christian school and executed innocent children. That wasn't too far.
That was Monday, and then Friday our president said the trans people are under attack,
Right.
and we're going to give you a trans day.
When our president surrendered to the Taliban, got 13 of our Marines killed.
Right.
left
80,
thousands of Americans
yes,
behind.
we armed the Taliban and the Chinese because the Chinese are buying it from the Taliban. That wasn't too far.
Right.
When the president of the United States of America stood up, looked me right in the eye and said, Travis, you don't deserve to have a job for not taking an experimental vaccine. That wasn't too far.
Now, what is too far? I mean, that's in the comments. Those of you that are still watching us right now, when is it too far? When do you stand up for yourself and be your own hero?
Look, we can go back to Obama. Obama weaponized the IRS against the Tea Party.
Yep.
That wasn't too far. Like, it just, until we get serious about doing the simple, Jesse Kelly's been talking about it for a week, the simple blocking and tackling, right? And I think about, Alabama has a good football team. They've won 10 games a year for 15 years straight. You know why they win 10 games a year?
Because they block and tackle.
Yeah. Have they had the best quarterback? No. They've had one quarterback, two quarterbacks that made, like, the Heisman finals. But they've had first-round offensive and defensive linemen every year for, like, 13 years.
And that's the key. It's the trench warfare, the blocking and tackling, as you're saying. The fundamentals, the little things done consistently that make the bigger difference. Yeah. And that's what the Democrats have been doing, man. They are eating our lunch.
Yes.
So I want to give a shout out to Heather and Cheryl who are watching.
All right, I got a message for our audience.
Okay.
If you're disappointed,
like and share.
If you're disappointed that we didn't come in here and boo-hoo and rah-rah around the Trump bullshit, we all agree. Like every other show out there that just came in and talked about this political persecution and then went on a rant about the freaking situation. We don't do that. All right, we're trying to give you honesty and trying to give you some framework from our perspective that you can use to move forward. All right, we're not going to kiss our political people's ass because that doesn't work.
Well,
we're in a broken situation.
Yeah.
And thinking one guy is going to fix everything. For 3 years, things got better. And they undid his 3 years in freaking 2 months. And then after they undid it, they opened up doors that has allowed them to do things that have never been done in America before. And then just to make sure they don't have to deal with him again, they pull this bullshit.
Well, I want to be careful about the they, because the we, and in who you're talking about, Trump, allowed that to happen.
No, I understand.
So we have to. We're big. We're the party of personal responsibility.
Well, we were at one point.
We were at one.
Well, us three of us still believe that.
And somebody got on to me over the weekend and they're like, "Hey, you used to say you're as a libertarian, you're a libertarian mind. I'm still a libertarian mindset, but I realized that the Libertarian Party was a lost cause because they can't agree on what a fucking libertarian is. So I felt I could be more effective and bring actual conservative values back to the Republican Party. And that's why I'm doing that.
I wrote a friend of ours today, right, in a Twitter thread. And I said, all I care about is winning. How do we win? And Vish Burr and I got into it on Twitter today. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't.
I did.
And my final comment to him was, so we're not interested in winning no matter who gets the credit. I just want to be clear what our strategy is, because I got to be real honest. It sounds like I'm just going to bail from that strategy and just maybe become an anarchist, run some side hustles on the black market, stack as much money as I can, buy as much ammo, and some land somewhere. If that's our strategy,
right,
is kiss the ring, and maybe you get the support to go win probably the most crucial election since the presidential election in 2020, I'm out on that. I want no part of it. I will move on. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just announced he was going to run for president. I'll vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Partially because I'm interested the CIA will kill him too. Just say it. But he's out there. He doesn't sound like Pfizer's senior vice president of sales. Right? He's asking questions. He's trying to be honest here. But so if it's about kissing the ring of one man, I'm out. I just want to win.
This is the thing.
I don't care who gets the credit.
You can be critical of the treatment and be critical of the man. Talking about Trump.
Right.
Nobody who is critical of Trump from the right isn't critical of what happened to him. This is not right. The Bragg thing is not right. It shouldn't happen to anybody.
Yes.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean we throw everything away in order to jump back into this. Here's the one hero that's going to save us. Because there is no one hero. We're fighting a war against people that have put generational things in place. And they're continuing to do it. And we're doing nothing to undo that except for in a few rare cases.
Right.
So we got a couple governors, a couple state legislatures that are putting things in place to protect us.
Shout out Missouri State Legislature.
Missouri, Florida,
Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa. There's multiple
Tennessee's
areas.
been pretty based.
Yep.
Well, Tennessee just did something. I can't remember what they just did.
Oh, they're about to expel 3 people that coordinated the insurrection at their capital last week after the trans killing.
Yeah, there's something else. Hold on. I think I made a slide.
Look,
No, it was Minnesota.
yeah, but to go back to my point, yes, this is a completely un-American way to treat a politician.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
You know what else was completely un-American? Taking tens of thousands of small businesses and throwing them on the trash heap of history over a virus with an IFR that, if you're under 60, is almost nothing.
Right.
And you know what? Listen, and we've talked about this a bunch.
Ad nauseum.
If you're dealing with, like, just one quick thing about that. If you're in a situation in which you're just doing the best you can in a situation that you have no knowledge of, and you're using the best information you can find from the people around you, and it turns out to be a fucking clusterfuck shit show, admit it. If I had it to do all over again, I would not surrender the country to those people who destroyed it.
And so, to me...
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, and my point over and over to people is, yeah, yesterday was a dark day. Dark day for a whole lot of reasons.
Right.
The Trump indictment was one of the reasons, but I disagree with your point, Dan, that they're so scared of him.
I never said they were scared of him.
Or somebody, like, they're trying
No,
to
that
keep
was
him
that
from
was what
right.
the
Yeah.
premise is.
You know what I've never done to somebody that I'm truly scared of is gone and arrested them.
Nope.
And indicted them. Like, I all this chatter about, oh, they just did it. So, like, no, they did it because they can. They did it because they get power and they use it. They punish their enemies and reward their friends.
Look, y'all know I've got a little bit of a temper, and especially when I'm pushed.
No.
We lived in suites in these dorms at this Baptist college I went to, and one of the roommates, I've probably talked about him before. His name was Rhett Butler.
Yes, you have.
All right, Rhett is one of the biggest rednecks I've ever met in my life. He's from a little town called Baxley, Georgia, and that dude would hunt. His refrigerator was camouflaged, and you ask him, why is your refrigerator camouflaged? You say, so he can't find my beer. That was his answer. Rhett was unstable. I mean, this dude was, he's like super redneck. You didn't know which way he was going to go. The day I met him, he was laying out, getting a tan in like cheetah print briefs in the middle of a Baptist college in his underwear. Not a bathing suit, not Speedos, but in his underwear. He was laying there drinking a beer at a Baptist college. So when he came in, I'm sitting on the toilet in this dorm, and he takes a bottle rocket, he lights it, and it just lets it fly in that stall where I'm taking my dump. Normally, that's the guy I would rush out and, power bomb or whatever. But when he did that, I thought twice. I'm like,
This fucker's crazy.
this dude's crazy. I am not fucking with him.
Right.
And that is exactly, if you don't want to be messed with, you got to be the craziest dude in the room. You've got to be the one that's willing. I think it's, what's the psychologist from Canada? That
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson says, real men are extremely capable of extreme violence. But what makes him civilized is he controls it.
Yes.
And that, people need to know that somebody's capable of doing that and fear that. in order to create a more civilized society. Now that's big picture. That's not necessarily political, but the thing is like you're saying, if anybody in New York had feared for the repercussions of arresting Trump, it would have never happened. Unless, and I'm going conspiratorial a little bit, unless they were hoping that would happen so they can say, look, see, they're unstable.
Well,
the whole entire right is unstable.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of violence in any way, shape, or form. I'm in favor of political violence in political action, right, and wrecking the system that way, right? What's going on in Florida. Florida has absolutely demolished the Democratic Party of Florida.
Yes.
To the point where the head of the Democratic Party of Florida's got to go get arrested to get on TV because nobody wants to talk to her. Okay? All right, was that violent?
No, absolutely
Was there
not.
shots? No, it wasn't. It was legislative violence. Okay?
It was things that are going to stick for a very long time.
And to be legislatively violent, you have to go do the things. You have to get the right people on your school boards. You have to get the right sheriff. You have to get the right county commissioners, DAs, AGs, all of that, so you can go then do that. Like that is the point. And
you wield political power instead of physical power.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And until we get to that point, we're going to sit here and have this same conversation about something different. We've been doing this podcast almost 3 years. About every 3 weeks, there's something that gets us so absolutely pissed off that we can't see straight. And at some point, we got to look at it and say, man, maybe it's us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on us. Like maybe we got to take a different path here.
Just look at the situation we're in. The state of our country is not good right now. Inflation's out of control. Banking system's teetering on failing. The legal system's been turned into a political weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Our cities are crime-ridden war zones. Mm-hmm. Our educational system is in the toilet. And there's no longer morality in our country. Just crazy immoral stuff is now mainstream and shoved down our throats.
Oh, and you're intolerant and you're a bigot if you don't go along.
Yet, in the last midterm elections, every incumbent that ran won.
Yep.
In Chicago, Lori Lightfoot destroyed that freaking city. Yep. Crime-ridden destruction. The person that people in Chicago elected between two Democrats was the one who wanted to defund the police.
Yeah, so they hadn't learned shit up there.
Wisconsin's a swing state, mostly Republican lately. We just gave them the Supreme Court. The counties that were absolutely sure to vote Republican, so Waukesha, Waukesha, what's Azauke? Azuka and Washington County, they've been the key counties, pretty populated counties, that have been key to Republican success in the past. People there didn't vote. The Republicans didn't show up to vote.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Jesse,
Democrat voters decided they like being leftists.
Jesse Kelly reads an email he gets from a former leftist all the time on his show. And what this person talks about in there was they were so committed, they were so blah, 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 all this, and they missed a local election. They just forgot or got busy or whatever. She got so much crap from her leftist friend group, she had to go see a therapist. And we can't show up for what is probably the most important election since the presidency of 2020.
Right.
At some point, we have to say, hey, we're serious about saving what's left of this country, or like just let's start running some black market ammo.
Here's a long-term concern: is sane people who live in those areas are moving. They're gonna, and they are moving to red states.
Yeah.
What is in question is whether those people are going to vote the correct way so it doesn't happen where they move.
Right.
Right.
But the one thing for sure is in the blue states, the Democrats are consolidating power and they're going to use billions of dollars to go after those areas of those red states that they can get.
Yep.
And they're going to, it's like a cancer. They go in and set up shop in a certain area, and then it grows and grows and grows and grows.
Yep.
Because apparently a lot of people in our country think and then it grows being a leftist is okay. Being all the stuff I said at the beginning. Because apparently, who gives a fuck about a lot of people in our country? Who cares? And then it being a leftist is okay. Being all the stuff I said at the beginning. Because apparently, Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? Put in country right now. All the stuff I said, they're not fighting it. Apparently, Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? Put in right now. All the stuff I said, they're not fighting it. Apparently, Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? Put in right now. All the stuff I said, they're not fighting it. Apparently, Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? Put in right now. All the stuff I said, they're not fighting it. Apparently, Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? Put in right now. All the stuff I said, they're not fighting it. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fighting. Democrat policies in our country. Who cares? They're not fi
Thank you.